renting in Woodend for quite a while, sort of 4.5 years maybe, and then sort of wanted to sort of buy somewhere. It was all getting very expensive, so we sort of, I guess, pushed out a little bit further north, and yeah, we found this place basically. So yeah, that's how we ended up here.
The house is facing north.
Yep.
So you're getting all that beautiful sun, and we can see a shadow line at the moment for how much sun's coming into the house, which is a reasonable amount. And then in winter there'll be full sun coming in, I imagine.
Pretty much, yeah. It's probably about 3/4 of the house gets sunlight inside. Actually find probably these kind of days are probably more challenging than summer days for inside heat, because
Actually too warm?
Well, a little bit, but I mean, with the solar system we can just run the splits if we need to, so we've got it all sort of open up and ventilating at the moment.
So how many kilowatts have you got on the roof?
10.2.
Nice.
So
and have you got a battery?
Yes, yeah, there's no grid connection. The whole house is off grid, so which we didn't sort of set out to do. We didn't sort of set out to look for an off grid place. It was just a function of the economics, really. It was going to be $50,000 to bring the power. So all the neighbours are on grid, but to bring the power around here was going to be extremely expensive. So it just sort of invalidated it. So yeah, we just thought it's probably not the problem it used to be with the newer systems. So yeah, solar's a lot cheaper than it used to be, and the battery storage has come down as well. So in our case, it was viable. The Celotronic SV Pro, this one here. So that's the battery inverter, and that's the battery system. So 7.5 kilowatt. I think we can run. We can pull 12 kilowatts off it at a time. It's pretty. I really thought one of the biggest things I thought we were going to find a challenge was running appliances at the same time. Just hasn't been. Really hasn't been. I've tried to trip it just by turning stuff off and like on, and it's just everything's electric. We literally just don't think about anything, and I just turn stuff on and it works. So I think theoretically, if I put everything on the cooker, it would blow it. But so, and like we have the splits running, we have the washing machine running, we have the septic. I mean, just everything runs off it. It's amazing, actually. So separate inverters. Yeah, so that's the battery inverter, panel inverter. So that's 8.2 kilowatts. So we can pull basically, and that pretty much pulls the maximum of 8.2 kilowatts off. Downside of being off grid is that the panels will basically cycle down when there's no load. Oh, so something just turned on. So you see the generation just bumped up there.
Yep.
So it was at 900. And there's plenty of sun, but we just decided the battery needs a bit more charge. So it's going to go back to its full capacity, basically, just to charge the battery.
Okay. So would your battery end up being full every night, mostly?
Oh, mostly. Yeah, it depends. If it's real rainy, then no. And you see now it's just cycled down again. So it went up to 7 kilowatts, and now it's just. And it just does that all day, so it's floating effectively. So yeah, it will vary. Like if it's a very cloudy day, it will be a struggle to charge the battery fully, depending on how low we've run it the night before. So if it's at like 20%, like the other day, we only managed to get to 75% that night, which is fine. We can run the house off that, or if you want, you can just bump it up with the generator a little bit. But like this morning, I mean. You can basically see from there. You can see it charge, and then just hits battery capacity, and then it just turns off, so it falls off a cliff. So we don't get those nice bell curves that people with Grid Connect have, where they have that nice even. So it's really, I mean, it's the ironic thing really with off grid is that people say, "Oh, you're going to be really power restricted," but often during the day, I'm just trying to find ways to waste power because. I mean, and this is the thing with the heat as well, like, if it's a really hot day, we're going to be putting out so much more power than we're actually using, like really. So I just run the air conditioners, because I've got them mainly for heating, but we just, if I just run them during the day and keep the house cool, it wouldn't be too bad in the heat. Like, it will probably get up to about 20, on a 40-degree day, it will probably get up to about 28, maybe in the house. Like, being Victoria, it generally cools down at night, but I just get the splits to keep it at 22, and then it just means the house just cools out much easier.
The walls are it's a double stud wall. So one of the reasons I went to this builder was really keen on double studding, which in hindsight maybe I would possibly do a single stud, a single deepen stud. But these are the things you learn in hindsight. But
Absolutely.
yeah, we've got, so it's a double stud, so R2.5 on either side, so a total of R5 in the walls, and then insulated under the slab with 50mm XPS foam underneath and on the sides, and it's R6 in the ceiling, and then an anti-con blanket as well, so R7.3 total, I think. You know, you need to sort of actively manage it, you know, when you're trying to run it as passively as possible, which you kind of want to off-grid. You know, trying to, you know, get the ventilation at the right time and open it up and vent it out, because it is reasonably well air sealed, I think, although we haven't had the blower door test. So.
Windows?
Yeah, PVC, UPVC, double glazed.
Nice.
Sierra's Ultimate windows. Yeah, we had they're performing really well, actually.
Do you have an energy rating?
8.4. But how that translates to real life, I don't really know. So, because it's only based on the plans. So, I would like to get the house assessed to see if it is performing at that level. That's our only water supply. So, but that's not unique for the village, because there's no municipal water here at all. So everyone is on tank water. So yeah, that's 58,000 litres, which I'm thinking, because I'm trying to get grass growing at the front, and the April hasn't been as wet as I was hoping, so we haven't had the rain. So I've been running the sprinklers, so I'm thinking I'm probably going to have to get water delivery soon, because we just haven't had the rain. Curtains on all of them apart from the front, the big one.
Yep.
We've actually, it's all, I mean, it's a worm farm septic system, so everything, all the grey water and black water goes in there. Pumps from here to a sand filter, which is here. So that's 5 meters long for secondary filtration, and then pumps all the way up there to the dispersal field, which is up there. So because we only built on the half acre, we couldn't gravity feed it down to the bottom there. I suspect we probably couldn't anyway with the planning, because there's a creek. So I think we have to pump up, but it's worked great so far, apart from the initial pump failing on this. But we can put all our food waste and scraps, kitchen scraps in there, and the worms take care of it. Apart from a couple of things, citrus and onion they're not great with, but works amazingly well. Like, it really does. I'm quite amazed. In hindsight, I wish I'd separated out the grey water.
So you could reuse it on the garden?
Yeah, basically. Yeah. So, because it's a bit frustrating, because we've got all this beautiful fertilised water pumping up there, and we can't do anything with it. So, I'd like to. I'd imagine so. Yeah, I'd imagine so. Yeah. It's just, I mean, so much good water going there. Sandon, again, we've been super happy with it. So this runs off solar during the day, and basically just heats the water up and banks it overnight. And we've never run out of hot water. So the only issue we had with it was when it's really cold, and right at the start, just after we moved in, we had a real killer of a frost, and we're just getting used to like the battery system and what have you. And there's a defrost cycle on it, which kicked in, and we didn't sort of know about it. So basically kicked in and ran the battery really low, which was a bit of a surprise. But we just sort of manage that now. But that is a really, really, really cheap generator. That is just a $400 King's camping generator, 3.5 kilowatts. Well, the total amount since we moved in will be about 60 kilowatt hours has come from the generator, which is relative to, not sure exactly, probably in the region of 2,500 from the solar. So that's the equivalent of 3 days over the year, really. Small generator. So we are going to upgrade this winter. We do, on the extended cloudy days, we do definitely demand manage. So we deliberately don't do multiple washing days, and you really think about what you use.
Well, so this winter has been probably more of a challenge than last winter. We just had worse weather. So we've relented, and we've put a bushfire in Oh, we're about to put a wood fire in.
Yeah, so that's
It's one of those things as a completely non-electric backup that just means we're not completely extended cloud periods. That's where we sort of struggle. But it's just a backup. It's just sort of a necessity, really. Unfortunately, so we don't need it when it's sunny. Whereas a sunny, cold winter day, and everyone will have their wood fires churning away all day. And we've got the windows open. We're venting it out.
Yeah, I think connected to that and to your question of what do you love most about this house is, to be honest, like I've found winter in Australia an awful lot harder than winter in the UK because it's been that much colder because the houses are built for summer, not for winter. So I've been so cold in other houses, and this house, even when we've been struggling for heat, has not been anywhere near as cold as waking up first thing in the morning in another house or one of our rentals, which hasn't had the heat on all night. At its coldest, it's still warmer than any other house I've lived in Australia.
It is, but like when it's frosty outside, it's a cold, crisp winter morning, and it's all frosty. It is absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah.
We didn't set out to build an off-grid place. We seriously looked at connecting it to the grid. That was our first option, but it just wasn't financially viable. It did feel pretty good after the storm came through and everyone else lost power and we didn't. But the flip side is, we lost power the other night because we didn't have enough sun, and we had to rely on the generator there. So
really think about it.
You wouldn't notice
anymore. Spring, autumn, summer. It's just honestly I run the washing machine at night. I don't really do anything different. So it's almost.
It all comes down to these 4 or 5 weeks.
Yeah.
We're very lucky to have the space that we've got. Summer's a piece of cake, to be honest. We don't. Solar systems theoretically lose some efficiency and heat, but we just have so much more power than we know what to do with the steel. So it will get hot when the sun's directly on it, but then 10 minutes after the sun goes down, it's cold again. So it doesn't, and it really, I don't know how much cooler it would be if it was white, but I know it would glare a lot more. So the reason we made it black was to aesthetically try and get it to blend in.
The outside, the landscaping stroke gardening is probably my favourite aspect of it. That's
my biggest headache.
Where I've put most of my kind of thinking and emotional energy. I really love the look of the house from the front, and particularly now the vibrant green grass. I also love imagining how it's going to soften it over time with vegetation growing up around it. And I love this. I do really like the aesthetic of it. I'm really happy with that. Along with being warmer and not having bills.
Yeah.
And knowing when you are using the aircon that you're not doing anything bad for the environment is nice.